This afternoon, we're learning work on General Hospital project has come to a halt with the October deadline to open the OPD in the rear.
Also this afternoon, government says it has begun processes of renegotiating debts owed independent power producers who until recently threatened to withdraw their services.
Plus, the NPP accused the striking UTAG members of conniving with the NDC to deny thousands of students the right to vote. Welcome to a brand new week of News Central. I'm Keminni Amanor.
And I am Mawuena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
Now, this afternoon, we're learning work on the ongoing General Hospital project has come to a halt as the October deadline to open the OPD services fast approaches. The reconstruction of the General Hospital has lingered since 2020 when President Akufo-Addo cut sword for the project after the old facility was demolished. After more than 3 years, construction started only this year with an October deadline to open OPD services to users and particularly indigents of the area. That, however, will not be the case as workers abandoned the site over financial issues. We can now speak to our Sarah Apenkro, who's following this development. Sarah, good afternoon to you. You've been to the site. Tell us what it's looking like.
Keminni rightly said, I'm currently at the General Hospital redevelopment project site, and there are no workers on site. I was able to cite the site engineer who refused to speak to me to give any information, but work had stalled. I should say it had stalled because there is virtually no worker on site. In fact, it was the community that gave us the information that for the past 1 week, workers have just been packing out of the premises, and the information they gathered from the workers is that the contractor said there were no funds to continue with the construction work, so he had released them to go. And so as it stands now, there are no workers on site. There is nothing happening at the site. The whole place is empty and as quiet as a cemetery. I've been into the community to engage with some residents, and it's the same thing. They were telling me that the workers had left the site, and so they are concerned. They want government to come out and tell them what is really happening. It promised to complete the facility by October ending or first week in November. And then, you know, the deadlines have been, there have been some inconsistencies. The president in his last SONA told us it will be completed by October, and then the former health minister, Kweku Menu, also told us it will be done by October or November. Then we had Dr. Okoboy, who also told us that the OPD definitely will be completed before elections. But currently, it is the foundation slabs that have been done, and then I'm told the pillars there, it's going to be used for, that's the first floor where the wooden work had been done and the concrete will be put on for the first floor. But the workers' accommodation, the hostel, that I could say is almost completed. I entered and then I saw that work had progressed steadily. The accommodation flat for the doctors and the nurses, that is almost done. But for the hospital project, there is nothing really happening there.
I see. Do we know how long the work has halted there? For how long it has been that way?
I'm told it's been over a week.
I see. But you also spoke to some residents. What did they say to you?
Well, they said they saw the workers leaving. The workers have been to the community to tell them they are moving to their various towns where they are coming from. You know, most of these workers are coming from the Ashanti region, Central region, various parts of the country. So they had packed their bags, their tools, where they were actually squatting on the premises of the facility. They've all left back to their hometowns because there is no money to continue with the project. So that is what the community is telling us, that they were told there is no funds to continue with the project, so the workers have all left the site.
Oh, okay. I think from past almost 7 months now they are working. But recently I learned that they're not working again. Why? Because the money is finished. Government is not paying them. And that's what I know. But often I don't know anything about it again. Government is not paying them. So some of my workers, they're my friends. If you ask them, they say, oh, they are going back to that. But where they're coming from.
Do you have any concern, something to tell government regarding if indeed funds are finished, what it should do to ensure the project is completed within time?
I really put the government to speed up, to look for funds to give to the contractor to start working on it so that people will be safe over here. So I put the government to start working on any projects that is ongoing. You should look for funds to give to the contractors to start working.
How has the delay in the completion of the project affected you, members of the community?
Oh, it will affect us in this community a lot. From here to when this hospital is working, people go to hospital here. The distance is very short. But recently, if someone is sick, someone have to go to Lekma police hospital, which hospital is far. Recently, I learned that someone died because of heart attack. I don't know what it is. Someone died just over here. If the hospital is there, at least the person might be survived.
You know, yesterday we were here before. We saw some of the workers telling that, oh, they are packing their things, they are going. And we don't know what is happening now. You know, this hospital, this is where we get, let me say, we get our daily bread. And you have a taxi driver who used to pick people here and then. And I sell here too. You know, because of the breakup of the polyclinic, nothing is going on, and we are not seeing anything.
Did they tell you the reason why they are no longer working?
No, they didn't tell us anything.
Do you have anything to tell government for any explanation as to why work has stalled?
This thing we have to ask the government what is going on. We don't know what caused them to stop coming to work. Normally they used to work on night, but now we don't see them, even daytime we don't see them. Okay. So we are appealing to the government to make things.
Well, some residents of Lade lamenting how workers are no longer on site while the deadline for the opening of the OPD of the La General Hospital project approaches.
This afternoon, government says power supply is expected to greatly improve in the coming days following agreements reached with some independent power producers. There's been inconsistent power supply after Sunana Sogli shut down its 550 megawatt power plant over government's indebtedness. According to Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adams, Sunana Sogli has now agreed to government terms for a renegotiation of their debts. Let's now hear from the Finance Minister who's been speaking.
I had meetings with Asogli and we agreed that we will pay. But we wanted them to sign the settlement agreement because this is one of the terms of the agreement. They said, no, we should pay before they sign. But if it is part of the settlement agreement, why should I implement an agreement that has not been signed? And so we communicated this to Asogli, only for Asogli to come and say they no longer want 30 million, now they want 60 million. And if we don't pay them 60 million, they will shut down. That is why they shut down. Right. And so people behave as if we as a country, we don't know our rights or we don't know what we want, especially when election is closer. Everybody thinks that, look, I can put a gun on the head of Ghana. And so by going ahead to shut down, they acted in bad faith. This is not how partners work together, particularly when it involves financial negotiations. So they shut down. We continue to produce power. I was informed only yesterday that they are ready to sign the settlement agreement. And so we've instructed ECG to go ahead and sign. That should help in normalizing our relationship so we can move on. And so by signing that agreement will also mean that the third IPP is also done as far as the restructuring is.
But exactly what does this mean? Let's speak to energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleiman on the latest on the energy front. We know that power supply has suffered some challenges. Doc, congratulations, I believe, are in order. We understand you are judged the Energy Advocate of the Year at this year's Ghana Energy Awards as well. Pleasure that you could speak to us. But straight to the matter, a return to the negotiation table by Sinon Asogli, that should improve generation capacity, and it should also improve power supply in the coming days, should it not?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks a lot, Mawuena. Indeed, these developments are not good. Sorry, good afternoon to your cherished listeners and viewers in Ghana and across the globe. That's a welcoming development if that's good, if that becomes the reality. I think this didn't start today. I noticed from the part of the ministry, they are accusing the IPP of acting in bad faith. I think if you flip the coin, the IPP could equally say the same thing. However, I think this is not a time to throw this banter up and down. They always say that if two elephants fight, Mawuena, is the grass that suffers. And you can see the erratic power supply, I'm told, that is currently ensuing within Ghana. And I think that's not the best thing that's ongoing. So, and this issue didn't start today. You and I, we spoke a lot about this. If you look at the kind of generation system that we have in Ghana, we are sitting on a hook, or what we call on a tentacle, in a way that, on a cliff, in a way that if we can't afford to have a single megabyte knockout from the power pool, we're going to have ourselves to blame. And so that's what is happening. So if, let's say, they are able to have a very good understanding with the power producer, this IPP Asogli, because they are a huge force to reckon with. If they keep on to hold their gun to keep power off, then we're going to struggle, and that's actually why we are struggling. So if actually they agree to sign the partnership and restructure the debt as per, and it's mutually understandable between the two parties, because it's always been not understandable with this debt restructuring between government of Ghana and Asogli in particular. Even though some time passed, we're told this debt structuring was done. I knew for sure Asogli wasn't part, and I knew Asogli is a huge player. So if at any point in time we don't bring them on board and they decide to pull off power, we're going to struggle. So it's a welcoming news, and we hope that power normalizes so that we avoid this erratic power supply, Mawuena.
In terms of the sector in general, we know that there's been ongoing attempts by government to restructure the debt. As of the last time of check, $1.6 billion US dollars. That continues to be one of the many challenges within the energy sector. Government says it's making strides now that Asogli is getting back on the table for renegotiation. How important is that for our energy sector going forward? Outside of the fact that there is a gas supply challenges, which is also making power readily available a difficulty for the ordinary Ghanaian.
Yeah, that's a fact. And the result of it, the difficulty or the inertia with respect to this debt restructuring with our IPPs, the result is what we have now. If we were able to holistically do the debt restructuring as proposed, and we don't do it piecemeal-wise. I had a problem with the way government was dealing with the IPPs on individual basis. From day one, we should have worked towards, encapsulating all the IPPs into the debt restructuring conduit. If you don't do that, and a player like Asogli, they are a huge power to reckon with. I mean, they are a huge force to reckon with. If you don't bring them into the picture and they decide to do what they did, we're going to have ourselves to blame. So yes, I think it's a positive thing on several perspectives. Number one, it will guarantee, financial sustainability within the sector. It will create a bit of fiscal space, and I'll throw a huge caution to government. And we are entering election year. That kind of space doesn't mean that we should enter into new recklessness. That's fiscal recklessness. That's not going to help. So we should be disciplined. And the reason why we are where we are, Mawuena, is the fact that we have something called cash waterfall mechanism. These IPPs and everybody, they know how the formula works. So if at the end of the day, they know that ECG has collected X amount, and they know that by the formula, if you take a percentage of this, I'm supposed to get it, and they're not getting it. This is what is going to result. So one of the very quick wins, one of the very quick wins, a low-hanging fruit, is to let this cash waterfall mechanism work to guarantee, cash flow. If that works, I think some of these things will not have them, Mawuena.
I was coming to the cash waterfall mechanism and how much revenue ECG was expected to raise. We all saw that back and forth between PURC and ECG and the subsequent letters from the government that ECG was expected to raise 1.3 billion cedis every month. Some argue the challenge stems from the fact that ECG's revenue has failed to reach that target, reason for which we're seeing a lot of these challenges with payment of debt and all of that.
Yeah, that's correct. ECG has always, the distribution arm of our chain has always been the weak link, and we all know that. And so that's why we are striving to ensure that ECG become phenomenally efficient. In fact, I've always argued that with this change that we have and the way they are intricately linked, if there's a fault in one of the chains, the cascading impact on the other chains, they are going to be dire. And that's actually what we have. And so ECG, we will just call on them as a matter of urgency to increase their efficiency. The metering system, the loopholes, which I always call something called fast intervention team. I will say that I have one-on-one interaction with some of the workforce within ECG on this area, and I think some of them are trying to do their best. So government have to help them also. And that said, Mawuena, I will say that even if ECG, with whatever they are collecting, let's just make sure that the cash waterfall mechanism works. If there's very much transparency within the cash waterfall mechanism, that if they know that this is the X amount of money ECG collects, and the formula says that we're going to proportion it according to this formula, and that formula is not adhered to, it will bring this kind of problems.
Right.
So yes, we have weaknesses in the collection, which we have to work towards to revitalize within the ECG arm. But whatever we collect, let's make sure that we work according to the formula so that the players will be able to understand what's going on. Other than that, it's always going to be difficult as we have it. And I think I welcome the fact that the restructuring is going through and is going to guarantee financial sustainability within the sector, Mawuena.
Doc, I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, as an energy analyst, speaking to us this afternoon in relation to what is some will call it good news on the energy sector front, with Tunona Sogli agreeing to renegotiate debts with the government. But on one hand, as the government is announcing what they say is good news, a number of you have been having to deal with power outages. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan is up and about in Accra, is joining us right now on Zoom to find out exactly what the situation is with many of you who've been experiencing these outages, particularly over the weekend. Crosby, talk to us. Where exactly are you? What's been the feedback and sentiment with regards to power supply thus far? It does appear Crosby cannot hear us right now. Let's try one more time. But first off, hear from one business owner he's been interacting with over the power supply challenges.
Oh, it's not like this. Yeah, it's normal. When the light goes off, like 3 hours is back. So it's normal.
Yeah. It's not like first. How long ago are you talking about?
Oh, previous years. Yeah, previous years. This time around, when the light is off, at least by 2-3 hours.
So you don't have the long spells?
No.
So that's not happening. Okay.
But for now, it's okay. It's better than before, because for now the light can go off within 1 hour, 2 hours. It's back.
Okay.
So we have the light to do our work. But before, it can go off a week, like 2 times a week, 3 times a week before. But for now, it's okay.
So before means what time? What period of time are you looking at?
3-4 months ago.
Okay.
3-4 months ago. But for now, it's better. It can go off within 2-3 hours. Then it's back.
Okay. So for now, you're still getting light out, but it is the duration is shorter.
It's short.
So maybe the light goes off maybe around 9 a.m. It comes back by 12 noon. It's working. Okay.
But the problem is that they don't the information. They have to inform you before the light goes. You understand? If they want to off the light, today the light will go off like this, like this duration. But there's no information. That's why you will spend your transportation and come and sit down, wasting all the time. You'll be getting your transportation back to your various houses or various places.
Some business owners speaking to my colleague Noble Crosby, and let's go to him right now, find out exactly where he is. Crosby, where are you? What's it like at this particular point? Still a challenge of Noble Crosby and being able to hear us, but let's just try and run you through the latest that's been coming from the quarters of government in relation to these energy sector debts and the attempts to renegotiate them. And what we know, based off on that press address as addressed by the finance minister, is that a number of these power purchase agreements, 6 of them, we understand, some they've agreed to renegotiate, others are waiting. Let's try and run you through that, which is going to come up on your screen right now. We'll start off with AXA Power, where government says that they've agreed terms with them to renegotiate the debt. Same as Senate Power, they've agreed renegotiation with them. With regards Amandi Power, they've agreed, but it's awaiting parliamentary approval. Same for Sen Power as well. There's an agreement on the table, but requires some parliamentary approval. Then Car Powership, they negotiation ongoing because of what government says is strong arm tactics being deployed, and then Sunan Asogli, who the government has accused of bad faith, but says that has returned to the negotiation table for a conversation. Perhaps we'll try one more time with my colleague Noble Crosby and to get the very latest from him in relation to what you have been telling us is the situation with power supply. Crosby, hopefully you can hear me this time round. Exactly where are you? What have the people there been telling you?
Right, Eric. So you know that for the past few weeks, there have been complaints about power outages recently. In the couple of days that have gone by, people have been documenting their frustrations mainly on social media, how load shedding or doomso is impacting them. Right now, I'm around Nima, and I've been engaging some business owners and businesses within this enclave that rely or depend heavily on electricity. What they're telling me is that comparatively, if you're comparing the happenings right now to how the situation was months ago or years ago, this is way better, but it does not change the fact that load is still being shared. They think that, well, some think that doomso is back in its full force, a bit not the same as it was some years ago. Their concern, however, is that governments or officials are not communicating to them when they're likely to be taking, so they'll be prepared properly. But there are those who are also saying that doomso is not back, and whatever is happening is in the best interest of businesses, of homeowners, and all of that, as government is doing its best to ensure that we have stable power going into the 2024 elections and beyond. Eric.
Right then, Crosby, many thanks for those details. That's my colleague Noble Crosby Annan providing details there for us. A number of you sharing thoughts as with regards the power situation. But we'll stay with the finance minister a while longer, Keminni.
Absolutely. Dr. Amin Adams has backed the NPP caucus's decision to have the Speaker, Alban Sumana Bakbin, recall Parliament to consider some urgent government businesses. Speaker of Parliament last week adjourned sitting indefinitely as the impasse over which side of the House constitutes the majority continued to stoke intense debate while awaiting determination by the Supreme Court. According to Dr. Adams, government business could suffer.
The other two, the remaining two, Sen Power and Amandi, their agreements require parliamentary ratification. So we finalized negotiations with them, and we have submitted the renegotiated power purchase agreements to Parliament for for consideration. We know that there are problems in Parliament. Somebody was asking me outside, how does the suspension indefinitely of Parliament affect the business of government? This is one of the effects that the suspension, this is one of the effects it will have on government business, because we were expecting that Parliament will approve this renegotiated agreement so that the settlement between us and Senate Power and Amandi will come into force. But here's the case. Parliament is not in session. We continue to say that democracy is expensive. And this is one of the costs of democracy, because you don't want to undermine parliamentary processes, but you also have conditions to meet.
Now, former Majority Leader Sir James Abonsu says leadership in Parliament will have to engage the Speaker to revive or resolve the current controversy that led to the Speaker adjourning the House indefinitely. The Swami MP said even though he disagrees with the Speaker's ruling, which led to 4 seats being declared vacant, consensus need to be built. He spoke to Evelyn Tingman in an interview.
I must commend the Speaker for what he did in adjourning the House that day. At least we saw some pedestrianism creeping into Parliament. And so what he did cured the mischief of the House degenerating into something else. So on that score, and I also looked at his countenance, I agreed with the adjournment. I thought that the adjournment was going to be perhaps for the day, and then maybe invite the leadership to further discuss the way forward. But to adjourn Sinidi is what I have a problem with. But he's human. We all have our egos. Here we have a Speaker who has made a determination, and then the Supreme Court tells him, stay your hand. We are injuncting the execution of the ruling. I mean, he's human. So maybe he reacts in a different manner, which is what he did. Beyond that, maybe we need to engage because elections should hold. And if elections should hold, every time that the presidential and general elections are going to hold, the Electoral Commission, for instance, will bring a CI to regulate the elections. If they have to bring a CI, what happens, and they've not brought it, what happens to the conduct of the elections? We need a vote on account for the next succeeding financial year, the first quarter. That has not been done. I think we need to have Parliament recalled to deal with this. The Majority Leader has, caused signatures to be appended for a recall. If we want to be technical about that, he has 7 days within which to act. And then I think another 7 days by our new rules, which will take it to about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so. What happens in the meantime? Does it mean that if those CIs come, they will not mature before the conduct of the elections? We should be thinking of the national interest. That's why I'm saying.
It's 40 days to the election. We are your election command center. Now, this afternoon, the NPP is accusing political science lecturer and UTAG UG president, Professor Ransford Jampo, of being in cahoots with the NDC to deny thousands of students the right to vote in the country. UTAG broke away from organized labor when the mother union, the Trades Union Congress, called off a strike action that was intended to pressure government to put an end to illegal and unethical mining. Now, last week, UTAG UG voted against the NEC decision to end the strike tomorrow, October 29th. But in a statement, the NPP, without providing evidence of the collusion, accused Jampo of inciting the strike action in exchange of political appointment when the NDC comes into office. Despite the lack of evidence, the statement signed by the NPP's National Youth Organizer, Salam Mustafa, cautioned UTAG members not to allow themselves to be used by Professor Jampo and the NDC for their parochial interests. Well, now, let's engage further on the story. Salam Mustafa is National Youth Organizer of the NPP. He penned that statement released in the last few hours of this day. Salam, talk to us about this statement. What is the evidence to back the accusations you have made?
Good afternoon to your viewers. So, if you followed the statement very, very well, we have stated that the strike action is not with respect to failure on government to honor, labor union, specifically UTAG, any demand. And when the mother union, TUC, decided to strike with respect to the fight against Galamsey, and subsequent government interventions to deal with the matter, TUC itself pulled the brakes and said that let's give some time to see how the measures would work. If you want any evidence, it is not rocket science that if there's any good faith, since the mother union has pulled back, and virtually almost everyone agrees that let's all come together as a nation and fight this. If there's no collusion of a sort anywhere, no one would just get up and say, I stand alone. When everybody else is going right, I am going left. And we are quite aware, and it is a replete on social media. When TUC decided that they were going to pull the brakes, the NDC were absolutely, unhappy and went berserk on social media. And it is in federals to a political cause. If not, why were they unhappy? Even though government has decided, government took action in response to what was being demanded. If they are still unhappy and still want the political action to take place, it is for us to bring it to the fore and let everybody understand that what is at stake now is pure politics. And I have said that it is travesty that thousands of students who registered while they were on campus are still sitting at home and virtually at the pinnacle of being denied their constitutional right to vote for absolutely no reason. And that is the thrust of the matter. How universities are going to come back to school so that the academic calendar is not thrown off gear, and ensure that both tuition is given to students and also they are giving their birthright of
hold your thoughts for me.
Voting.
Very well, Salam.
To exercise their franchise.
It would appear Salam can't hear me. But Salam, if you can hear me, I'm asking you to hold your thoughts because I want to find out from you what you have explained to us is already public knowledge that UTAG broke away from organized labor decision. The accusations you have made in your statement, you have not been able to back with any evidence, as you stated in your statement, that you have credible information.
Science. That is why I'm telling you that the strike itself is unnecessary to the extent that they are not striking because of condition of service.
But that is not evidence of Professor Jampo being in cahoots with the NDC. What I'm asking you for is the evidence that Professor Jampo is in cahoots with the NDC to sway your votes on university campuses. You haven't been able to tell us that.
Of course, I'm within the political space. There's a lot available to me. It's not everything I'm going to put out there. And we know what we are doing.
I I see. Salam, I'm going to bring in now Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison. He's General Secretary of University of Ghana branch of UTAG. Doc, the NPP says UTAG is being used by Professor Jampo and the NDC to ensure that thousands of students are denied their votes, and in other areas for Professor Jampo to get appointments in the within the NDC government if they come to office. Your reaction to that?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all our viewers. If you can see, I've been laughing all along. This is ridiculous, to be honest with you, and I find it strange that a party, of Dubois and Kufuors would have somebody like this as a youth organizer with a kind of reasoning that he gives. For the record, Prof. Jampo has been one of the advocates for the suspension of the strike. When UG had a meeting, he spoke extensively about why we need to suspend the strike. But UTAG members are independent thinkers. We are not idiots, excuse my language, to just follow somebody because the person said so. Unlike other labor unions where their leadership decide for their members, we as UTAG decide individually. And so when UG voted, we voted massively to say that no, we are fighting for a cause that is much bigger than ourselves. And so the idea that government is adamant is not enough for us to suspend the strike. And if you go about saying that UTAG members are not independent thinkers and therefore they can't decide for themselves, and that it's Jampo that is deciding for them with the help of other people, it is really, really unfortunate. And I think the MPP party should call its youth to order, because that's insulting, to say the least. How do you UTAG who are not independent thinkers?
Right, Doc. Outside of the Professor Jampo in cahoots with the NDC accusation, it would appear that the statement is essentially saying that because government has responded to organized labor's demands, organized labor called off the strike, you have decided as UTAG not to call off the strike. This whole demand and strike is politically motivated. Are you doing this for political reasons?
I am very sure Ghanaians know what is happening to our environment. For the record, there is no organization in the world that has its membership doing research on every aspect of our lives like UTAG. And we, over the years, have been advocates of the environment, of the economy, of everything we hold dear. And so we have, over the years, assessed the situation and found that, look, the trajectory on which we are, which is political actors haven't found a way of using this mining as a means of funding their campaigns.
Oh, it seems we lost that connection there. Let me get back onto the phone lines and speak to Salam Mustafa. If you just joined us, he is the NPP's National Youth Organizer. He signed that statement that made the accusations against UTAG. Salam, but when we look at the matter at hand itself, don't you think the matter is too grievous, so to speak, for you to politicize the matter that the NDC is trying to score political points with this?
Yeah, so before I come to that, did I hear him say that is this the party of Edu Wahini and someone like me being the National Youth Organizer? Did he say that?
Indeed, he did.
In fact, that's a very silly statement to make. And I wish he was on the line. And I'll tell him that's a very silly statement to make.
Oh, no, let's hold off with the personal attacks. You're free to respond to him. Let's hold off with
my words. And if he's going to speak to me and he's going to the same language to him, he's not more intelligent than I am. I can equally be a university professor.
I see, but let's hold off on the personal attacks. Now let's go to the question itself.
So
the
next
fact
time
that
he should speak with some sense.
Salam, if we cannot speak with decorum, we would have to end our conversation. You won't be able to reach out to the people you hope to reach out to via our medium. Salam, the government of the day has not dealt with Galamsey as we would want it to. Yes, the president responded to organized labor and set up a task force. Hang on, let me finish. Let me finish respectfully. Okay. Respectfully, let me finish. I'm saying that the government of the day indeed did respond to organized labor, set up a task force to look into the activities of illegal miners and those with licenses who are embarking on unethical mining. But you recall that UTAG's position has been on the fact that, listen, we don't think that what has been done is enough. Much more needs to be done to ban the exercise so that our water returns to normal at best. You're saying that this is not important enough, but you go after Professor Jampo, who, according to Dr. Jerry, has mentioned before that really it's important to call off the strike while government works on this. Why would you go after such a person?
That's okay. I am not going after anyone. We are all in sync when it comes to protection of our environment, water bodies, and so on and so forth. I am absolutely for it. That's why I said that it's a nationalistic call that we all believe in. And we are all in sync to ensure that our environment and water bodies are protected. Government alike, actions have been taken, you know, and so forth. So it's not as if someone is sitting down and not doing anything. Government is not doing anything. Like I said, the fight against Galamsey is not an event. It's a process. It's going to take time because these things, you know, I've had, you know, calls to go to the bush to understand exactly, you know, how these things operate, and you'll be amazed. Your sense of understanding would completely change when you go to the bush, and why it has become very difficult to fight the canker. It's not as if, you know, they are doing, and that's what the picture has been created. I think before the NPP came, there was no Galamsey in this country. There's been Galamsey in this country all this while. But of course, we cannot say that it should continue. Once it is becoming detrimental and existential threat to all of us, we should do all we can to ensure that we're able to nip it in the bud. And
that sounds good, Salam.
Do so. Yes.
That sounds good, Salam. But do you see how the statement you released in the last few hours unnecessarily politicizes this matter and impugns the integrity of Professor Jampo?
Unfortunately, I am not the one politicizing it. Unfortunately, I am not the one. It is the actions that gives it a political color, and that's why I am bemoaning it and saying that we should not take the tangent of politics. It will not help all of us. And I repeat that it will be a travesty if, you know, we are not able to recall schools and allow, you know, the students to get back on campus, you know, to continue with their academic pursuit and also, you know, exercise their constitutional right to vote. That is the point we are making.
And now, Salam,
it will continue.
Very well. Salam, would you also agree with me that in the course of this conversation, you have not been able to provide evidence that Professor Jampo is in cahoots with the NDC?
I have given you the next. I have video of Professor Jampo on your sister network dishing heavy unprintable words on the NPP and our presidential candidate. I can give you a plethora of evidence of the stance of people. So when they speak, we understand where, and when you take an action that improves, that shows it is politically motivated, we say so. And of course, I'm aware of so many conversations that happen that I will not tell you on air, but we are quite aware of a lot of things that happen. And that's why we think that this matter should be brought to the fore. Let's all discuss it in good faith and in good judgment.
Very well,
because
Salam.
at the end of the day, it is for all of us as a people and not a select few. It's about the collective interest of all Ghanaians.
Very well, Salam. I'm afraid we're out of time. We'll have to leave it here, but thank you so much. Salam Mustafa is National Youth Organizer of the NPP. Still with me is Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison. He's General Secretary of University of Ghana branch of UTAG. We lost him earlier while he was making a point. Doc, you know, again, hopefully you're not going to respond to any personal attacks or in any personal form. Let's target the matter. Salam says, look, they have evidence that they cannot reveal to us that indeed this strike by UTAG is political. Where do we go from here?
Well, I mean, just for the record, let Ghanaians know that for UTAG to decide on any course of action, every member of UTAG cast a vote in support or otherwise of it. And in this instance, members are currently voting. And so the assertion that one person can hold all of UTAG to ransom is really not possible. And it's quite ridiculous, to be honest with you. And so I think we should leave it there. This matter is something that affects you and I. Our futures are at stake. We, as members of UTAG, have been doing research on every aspect of it. We found that where we are, every day counts. And every day that government refuses to act, we are going in a ditch. And as elders in the House, we simply cannot keep quiet. And that is why members across all the campuses keep voting to sustain the strike. We will use this constitutionally mandated or constitutionally legitimate means to express our dissatisfaction. The task force that has been deployed has not done its work. We've heard all the media reports about them being shown where to go, where not to go, and all those kind of things. It hasn't worked, and we think that there's more that government can do. We believe that the government's unwillingness to tackle this matter is because it has become a means of funding political activities. And we cannot do this at the expense of our lives and future.
Very well.
Otherwise, future will not be kind to us.
Very well, Doc. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Dr.
Thank you very much.
Jerry Joe Harrison is General Secretary for UTAG UG, ending our conversation on the latest development in the fight against Galamsey. You're here on News Central. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories from across the country. Don't go away.
To a bit more stories on the election front, the flag bearer of the NDC has pledged to uphold Ghana's peace, emphasizing the party's commitment to preserving national harmony, especially in the face of recent unrest in parts of the northern region. Speaking in Yendi, John Mahama is asking all religious leaders to speak up in the face of disturbances, urging all political actors to commit to not first throwing the stone.
My brothers and sisters in the Lord, Ghana is known for its peaceful religious coexistence. We've always been the envy of many countries in our sub-region where peace has eluded them. Whether in football or in politics, even when we disagree, we have always respected each other's views. The peaceful resolution of various conflicts in Yendi is a testimony of our desire for peaceful existence and progress. But this peace, this gift, precious gift, must never be taken for granted. As we approach the elections, we should never forget that peace is fragile. And like an egg, once it is cracked, it cannot be put together again without the scars showing. Recent events that have taken place of unprovoked violence are deeply troubling. We've also witnessed attacks and various forms of violence visited on young people peacefully embarking on health walks or expressing their opinions.
That's the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama. We'll stay away from that right now. And National Secretary of the Conference of Directors of Education, Ibrahim Mumuni, has told TV3 that many district offices and the schools are grappling with severe staffing challenges due to the high attrition rates by teachers. Irama Smith is joining us with a bit more details. Irama, talk to us about the challenge in the area.
So this came to light at the 31st annual conference and workshop of the Conference of Directors of Education here in Takoradi. According to the National Secretary of the conference, that is Ibrahim Mumuni, the exodus of professional teachers and then even non-teaching staff is having a toll on education. He mentions particular subjects like ICT, French, Arabic, among others, as being the ones that are really suffering in the education sector. And he's calling for an urgent intervention to ensure that this is quickly rectified. And we know that this is mainly due to the poor conditions of service that is affecting most of these professional bodies.
The ongoing exodus of experienced and energetic teachers is depleting education workforce, leaving inexperienced recruits and older educators behind within our ecosystem. Many district offices and schools face staffing challenges, lacking essential personnel such as information and communication technology teachers, French, Arabic, creative arts, and career technology teachers.
Irama, thank you very much for those details. So we'll take us on to our second break here on News Central. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Keminni Amanor. Next is the afternoon show. Bye-bye.